Are modern cartoons getting better or worse? Clearly, as time moves on cartoons are changing, and it comes to a question of are cartoons nowadays or modern cartoons getting better or worse, and especially as the future come, will they actually get better or will they get worse? Now, this could just be me, nearly being 20 years old, of course, and pretty much saying that, every cartoon nowadays, every modern cartoon is not as good as it used to be and things like that. We need to go back to the early 2000s and late 90s. Now, that might not always be a good thing because legit, a lot of shows back then were just basically made for merchandise and really nothing else. Not because, someone had this big art project that they want to present to the world. It was just, all right, how much money can we make off of this before we cancel it by season 2 or 3? Now, of course, cartoons being aired today is a mega mixed bag. Some cartoons are good, some are bad, and then some are just so-and-so. With a major mixed bag of cartoons and then even some adult animation being aired and kind of being praised nowadays, it's uncertain on what the future would look like for animation and cartoons, basically. Are they getting better? It's kind of hard to say with some shows legit only being on their channels for a few weeks or just being shown with some of their episodes being scattered around with the schedule and then shown without any real announcement. It seems that channels nowadays, the big ones of course of Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and then Disney to an extent, all have this type of standard for them. Nickelodeon, it's the SpongeBob standard. Cartoon Network seems to have a comedy standard now, and Disney, there are cartoon pilots that have been receiving great feedback nowadays, and an audience already wanting more for that series. But what I fear is that even with these shows, is that will these shows be cut too short due to the channel's standards, as I mentioned before, or just from poor scheduling and advertising? I believe they could get good ratings. It's just the fact that the station itself just really needs to have some faith into it, and that's kind of like a downside with modern cartoons nowadays. It seems that a lot of channels don't exactly want to take risks, and that's why there's just been so many reboots nowadays, just so they can get the older audience, or they don't exactly have anything too creative. That's why they just kind of repeat some shows with basically the same style or the same kind of premise and things like that. So it just really seems that they don't want to take any risks. It's understandable that they don't, but, when they're not doing that and just basically doing the same thing over, it becomes stale and boring and repetitive, basically. So, because of this, could modern cartoons fall into a slump of pretty much only being mediocre comedy? Now, I'm not saying that comedy is bad. I love to laugh as well. The point I'm going for is that not every cartoon needs to be a comedy. That doesn't need to be their main goal or premise. Look at Cartoon Network in 2008. It was perfect when it came to variety. Show's main premise was adventure, action, music, mystery, etc. Variety is what I'm talking about here. To me, that is what made a huge part of making cartoons different and unique in one another. And of course, their own art style. Now, yes, with pilots like Infinity Train, 12 Forever, and the newest one, Craig of the Creek, are getting variety to a certain extent, and recently newest shows of OKKO are doing that as well. It's just that we don't know how long that could last, and we don't know if, let's say Cartoon Network would pick up one of these shows. We don't know if they would allow something like that, and then, just mess around with it in the schedule and just say, turn it into a comedy and things like that, or, get rid of this, that would make it, great. Like, could you imagine Infinity Train not having its mystery element? That is basically the whole reason anyone watched that pilot, was just because of the whole mystery type of thing, and it was a bit new because of that. We hadn't had a mystery since Gravity Falls, basically, and then before that, maybe Scooby-Doo and something else that I probably haven't heard of, but that's why people liked it. Could you imagine if, some network executive just said, no, don't have it be, all mystery and stuff. Have it be more comedy-based. Could you imagine that? That would be terrible. Absolutely terrible. The show would probably just be, okay at best, but it would definitely not reach the potential it would have. So that is more or less what I can talk about when it comes to new cartoons nowadays. Are they getting better or worse? I believe that they are gradually, slowly getting better. It was looking kind of sketchy you know, let's say about 2 years back or so, maybe just a little bit more before that. But yeah, they're slowly getting better, just slowly. It's just the fact that we just really have to hope that, you know, these pilots, for example, get picked up, have a decent schedule, and most importantly, have people support the show, like fully 100% support it, and like actually talk about it on a daily basis, and just say like, all right, here's this new show, and then they go back to just talking about like Star Versus or Steven Universe or something like that. So yeah, that's all I can basically talk about in this discussion video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have any questions, comments, concerns, or any other discussion topics you guys want me to talk about. I'll try to answer them best I can. Want to join any kind of channel, email, Twitter, all that in the description below, Patreon as well, and everything else you know what to do. Bye.